Hi, everyone, and welcome back to our podcast. I have Giorgio again on the other side. Giorgio, still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Good. So, today our plan is to discuss two topics. One, we want to give some summary about how unit text is going and what are our next steps and when is the launching date. And the second topic we wanted to discuss is an internal discussion we've been discussing in the last week, which is what next. Once unit text is launched, we will focus on distribution, and then we want to start a new product. And the question here is what? So let's start, if it's fine for you, Giorgio, let's start with unit text. Maybe we can do already a preview, and then let's jump right to the discussion.
Yeah, let's go back to unit text. We are working on the extension. So we decided that it's going to be available in the browser. We are setting up an API so that the browser extension is somewhere to execute the actual AI stuff. And we're setting up billing, of course, for the API because we need to it's profitable. We can't bleed money on this. So we need a subscription at least.
What tools did we choose for those things?
Yeah, I think we should mention our tech stack. It's been quite a good experience, I would say. So let's start from authentication. I would say that's a most common thing. You need it pretty much for any kind of app. We use this very nice tool called Clark. I guess we found it because it integrates particularly well with Next.js, which we also use for the web app. And they also have a very nice integration with this other tool, Plasmo. I think this framework, you could say, to build browser extensions. So the experience was a breeze. I've never seen anything like that. Like, big fan of
it's really
Cognito.
Simple. Yes.
Keycloak. I mean, so many tools we used in the past, and we know that we could say we know them very well. So we could even say we are fast at integrating them, but I mean, it's really not comparable. And we're not being paid to do this, by the way. So we're not being paid by Clark to say this, but we can just say that
not yet.
We can vouch for them.
Yes.
Not yet. So if you are listening, but the experience was just so good. So we're very happy to say we could tag them maybe when we post this.
Yesterday I was surprised, right? I had to integrate the profile page, and I was expecting that it would take me a couple of hours to build a profile page and all that. And then I went to their documentation and I found they have already a component for it. You just need to put your component in your code, and that's it. You have already a profile page, right? So it's not really a page. It's more like a pop-up. But still, it does the work, right?
They do offer a page though as well.
Yeah, I saw it, but I wanted to go leaner,
So you can even they can even host it for you. You can redirect to them.
Yeah,
I think that's the nice thing. They give you
quite some
both
options, right?
Flexibility. Yeah, exactly. They give you options, which is something other providers struggle with. It's not easy. I mean, you have to give it to them. They've been really good at it. So you can go from headless to everything yourself to handing everything over to them. I think it's been a very good experience so far. So very, very happy with that. And I'm integrating it with. Oh yeah, well of course, billing then becomes it's the next big problem. I think that the thing is, when it comes to billing, it's not just enough that you can get the money. We also have taxes. We have to be compliant with other things. So we decided to go with Paddle because of that. It's just the two of us. We don't have a big company behind. We don't have lawyers. We don't have money for lawyers and accountants. Actually, we don't even have a company yet. Still need to incorporate that. So we decided to go for Paddle. I think now we're figuring out a bit the API, right? So we just trying to keep it as lean as possible. We want to both keep a simple pricing plan for our users, so they hello AWS, we don't want to be like you.
Making friends already. Nice.
It worked for them, obviously, but we know we are not AWS, let's put it like that. So we're not going to go crazy with pricing. So at the same time, we need to be profitable. Otherwise this is not sustainable. So we are figuring out what to do with the API, right?
So one of the challenges we're facing right now is since our product is AI, it works with AI, we need to kind of do a credit-based pricing. But at the same time, to simplify things, we want to offer subscriptions, because after some research online, we realized many people, they don't like credit-based pricing, right? Because it's too complicated and so on. Then you need to pay again whenever the credits are finished. But with subscriptions, you can just add your credit card, and then it's billed automatically every month or every year, depending on the plan, right? So we wanted to work with something mixed with a hybrid, you would say. But it seems that it's not straightforward. So it's straightforward doing it with Paddle. So if you just have subscriptions, then it's fine. It's pretty easy that you can add a trial period and so on. But in our case, we don't have a trial period. What we want is a maximum number of credits, right? So our users will have for free a certain number of reviews. So they will have their own text, and they can run the review for 3 times. And then they will need to pay if they want to keep using it, right? And this is not covered out of the box by Paddle. At least we didn't find it so far. But it seems that it's possible. But we might need to implement additional software to do that, right? And this is what we need to do this week before launching. And we're trying to find out what's the best approach. Also, probably we will need to integrate it with Clark, right? Because in a way, whenever you propagate the author information to the UI, you probably need to bring some billing information with it, so that you know if the user has this plan or this other.
Yes, I think there will be some different tiers. We already know that we have some limitations, obviously, also depending on the specific AI models that we use, on the specific tests that we did so far. So we have some ideas to maybe even offer some larger plans for people doing larger things. That may also come at some point in the future. But initially we need to start with what we know. So we may have 1 or 2 plans, maybe with a different characters limit, maybe with a different number of reviews, depending on whatever specific kind of user requires. So it would be, of course, nice. Well, it would be needed. It's not just nice. It would be needed that the extension actually knows then which plan you're subscribed to, so that it can give you the right interface, tell you how many characters you can use, what kind of text you can generate. Maybe we'll have different models, as we probably mentioned already in the first episode. So you may have different kinds of AI models and different kinds of prompts depending on the specific type of text that you're preparing. So all of that will come through different subscriptions. So we need to synchronize something there. And probably we just need to, we want to keep things as simple as possible, but not any simpler, obviously. So we need to provide the features that users require. So this is what we need to implement now, and then it's time to launch. No need to make it more complex than it has to be, though. So we've already seen some value in the POC we did. We actually looked at some statistics. I don't know if we mentioned this already. It seems at least 500 people tested the POC, the unit text CLI, which I think is a very good number.
For sure, compared to other products we built. This is a huge success for us, right?
But there are some products that didn't get 500 users in 1 year. and we didn't do much more distribution than a post on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Blue Sky, and one post on Hacker News. I think that's all we did. 500 users downloaded it, and we apparently got either 1,000 views on the page, on the blog post that introduced Unitext, or 10,000. And I don't know which one is better, to be honest. Because if it was the first 1,000, no, it was not 1,000, so it was either 2,000 or 10,000. But if it was 2,000 people and 500 downloaded it, it's a 25% conversion rate, you could say, which is pretty crazy. And on the other end, if it was 10,000 people, it would still be a fair 5% conversion rate, which I think is
still
fair.
good.
It's quite good.
Yeah.
But 10,000 people that they clicked and actually read the post. So I would also be very happy about that. So I don't know which value is right there.
And what are the next steps when it comes to launch? So once we have these issues we described already solved, so we have the billing in place. By the way, you mentioned that you had some integration issues when it comes to browser extensions and Clark, right? I don't know if you want to mention anything about that. Did you solve it already? And how?
I did, in fact, because the documentation was so good, and the experience was just very, very straightforward.
That's
in
nice.
fact, I'm looking at it now because I was working on it this morning. You have two ways to authenticate. So the extension itself can do the sign in, sign up flow. The problem is apparently the redirection, though, if you're doing OAuth, right? If you do sign in with Google, sign in with Apple, and if you do OAuth, there is one step where there is this redirection that needs to happen. The problem is a browser tab can handle it. The sidebar, the extension sidebar cannot. And this is a problem. So you cannot do sign in with Apple, sign in with Google within the extension. But what they can do is synchronize your cookies between the web app that you've got in your browser as well. Like if you go to www.unitext.com and you sign up, including with Google or Apple, the OAuth flow happens and you get your cookies saying that, well, you are authenticated. Something very nice that you can do that works really well is that you can then synchronize that with the extension. So you sign in the web app, you sign in with the extension, and they get synchronized. So I made it quite simple. You still sign in with your email address in the extension, or you can open a tab with the web app. I added a link for that. It's the button sign in via web app. You sign in with Google, Apple, and then they're synchronized. And then you can actually use it in both places, I would say. This is also something we haven't discussed yet, but there is no reason why we shouldn't. I think the extension is just a very nice distribution method. It's a very convenient way to use the app because you can be working on your text in whatever medium, whatever editor you're using, right? To publish in WordPress.
In our case,
whatever.
we had a really smart idea there, right? Like, because we wanted to start with building extension or plugins for Microsoft Word and so on. But then we realized, what if we go online with an extension? Then we can cover Google Docs, we can cover email, even the web version of Microsoft Word is also covered, right? If you go through their online platform.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
anything you can do in a browser, right? And with
exactly
loads of things in browsers. So I'd love to see more extensions, to be honest. I think that there is lots of potential there. I was thinking about it. So many things that you can do with AI, when done through the browser, you get, you get a lot of potential, right? Because you can integrate with the browser, which ends up being probably the user interface we use the most nowadays. Most applications are offered through a browser nowadays, like it or not. That's the reality. But it's quite convenient, though, if you think about it that way. And you can just do some extension that can then integrate, that can then be the bridge between AI and your browser. So I'd love to see more extension. I think this is something we need to think about again, because we may be able to do more products. We may be able to do many more things than just having a standalone application. The big difference is, of course, that the extension can access whatever you are accessing at that point in time. If you're visiting a tab, the extension can look at that tab. And I imagine that you put AI in the middle. AI can interact with that tab. It can read things. It can work in context with you. So that's truly an assistant. It's like doing a screen sharing with your assistant, with your colleague. So I want to investigate this further. I think web extensions are much more useful now.
And much better to distribute that web mobile apps.
Exactly. Not to mention that. I mean, dealing with app stores and reviews and release notes. We should also talk about release notes. Yeah. We have another product there at some point.
Yes. And actually, it's part of the discussion we're having afterwards, right? That could be also a candidate for our next product.
Yes.
But let's wait. So the idea. So let's go back to the discussion about unique text. So we were saying, once we have the product ready, so what are the next steps to release it and distribute it? So I guess we are still missing publishing it on Product Hunt, right? That's one thing. What else? Should we do more distributions through social media? What do you think?
That's a very good question, isn't it? I mean,
and you were not prepared for it, right?
Figuring out, and we're not ready for it.
So I don't know how many times I read this last week, the word distribution. So there were some discussions going on, right? Like nowadays with vibe coding and all that, building a product is not a challenge anymore. So it's not a blocker. So if you have an idea and you want to implement it, so with software, of course, still there are no AIs that build houses for you, not yet. But if you have an idea for a software product, it seems that building it is not kind of like a blocker anymore. So you can just go to some platform and build it. That's it. The problem now, or the challenge now, is the distribution. So this is what we are suffering right now, right? And this is really important for IT solo founders or IT founders in general, because we don't like, okay, maybe here I'm generalizing and maybe there are some IT people that want to be exposed, but I personally don't like to be exposed to the jungle out there, right? Like everything happening, all these haters and all that. I don't want to be exposed to that. But it seems that nowadays it's mandatory. If you want to be successful, if you want to build something and let people know about that something, it needs to be done. And you need to build a brand. And by building this brand, you need to promote your brand on social media and online and so on. So I guess there is no way around this, and we just have to do it.
Probably not. I think it's true that it's a bit of a stereotype, and yet it was funny again at a web summit. Yeah. It was one of the things I went around asking, like, hey, are you a developer? Do you like? It was a bit, do you like writing? Do you like marketing in general? Do you like talking about your products? And I don't think I could find one single person who actually enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I think we just learned at some point that yes, it is needed. We had a very nice discussion a few days ago with this guy from Beaky, I think it was the name of the company. They're doing some great stuff. Maybe at some point we should mention them. Maybe at some point, if we have guests at our podcast, I'd like to invite them. In fact, I think they're doing something great.
I was thinking the same. I think he's the best candidate right now for our first, interview, because what he's doing is amazing. It's incredible.
Absolutely, do look them up. Just in short, they are delivering education in remote places, offline first. So they're packaging up everything you need to run a class into a Raspberry Pi of sorts and shipping it off to remote places in Africa, in Borneo, in so many places I don't remember. And they deliver classes like that without an internet connection. But anyway, what this guy was saying, which I think is 100% true, we have come to accept that 50% is product, 50% is distribution.
Yeah.
So if you work 8 hours a day, 4 hours, you should be on social media. You should be making the podcast. You should be writing about what you're doing. And to be honest, we're not quite there yet.
So, Giorgio,
I'm not there yet.
Can I ask you something? How many hours did you spend last week on social media? Sorry, how many minutes did you spend last week on social media?
And actually, how much time did I spend in a useful way on social media? That's also the thing, isn't it? It's very easy to be distracted by social media. Like, maybe watching something on YouTube. Maybe I'm even watching something useful on YouTube. Like I'm watching some, I don't know, like you were talking about those guys from Y Combinator, right? Mm-hmm. Michael Sibel, Dalton Cadwell. I love their videos. Maybe I start with that, and then half an hour later, I'm watching some stupid cat video.
You are absorbed by the algorithm, right? YouTube algorithm is absorbing you.
So that's also the problem with social media. I actually, I read a book about that.
Of course you did. What else? Giorgio's life motto is like, I read a book about that.
But I do recommend that too. Indistractable by Nir Eyal. I don't know how to pronounce the name. Nir Eyal. Sorry. Really nice book. Apparently, this guy wrote another book before this one, Hooked, which gives you all the if you're building a social network, if you're building some social media platform, anything that you want your user to get hooked on. Apparently, that's the book to read. I never read that one though. I should. And then you realize at some point probably that that book was doing more harm than good. I guess, or at least that people didn't really know how to get unhooked and not be distracted by social media and everything that is thrown at us. But it's a very interesting reading, so I'm trying to learn from it and be more focused. But in the end, you do need to spend quite some time on social media because that's where people are. Mm-hmm. As we always said, you can build the best product ever, but if nobody knows about it, it's kind of useless, isn't it?
So the conclusion after all these thoughts and discussion is we have no idea how we are going to distribute our product. So hopefully by the next podcast episode, we will know more and we can share with you guys. But yeah, right now we just want to finish the product and launch it. And then we'll try to find out what next.
Well, we said the podcast was going to be
it's a way to distribute,
right?
That's true, yes.
No, it's definitely so.
But actually, we are not that bad, right? Like back when I went to Bali last year to visit a really good friend that I'm also doing another product with him. It's called Pretty Progress, by the way. Go to the app stores and download it, especially the Android app. That's the one I care about. I get money from. So there was a new guy coming. We went to this indie hacking workshop or weekly. You could call it weekly workshop. I don't know how to call it, but indie hackers gathering in one place in Bali, right? And I went there for my first time, and there was another guy. I think he was from India, and he was traveling around the world. And he was also an IT. He spent one whole year to build his product. He showcased the product. The product was amazing. What he did is really amazing. But then some of the professionals, indie hackers, they asked him, so what's your target audience? I don't know. I'm trying to finish the product, launch it, and then I will try to find this out. It's like, so you spend 1 year already working on this thing, and you have no clue who is going to buy it. It's like,
so but we all did it, right?
Yeah, but not 1 year,
We've
right?
all been there.
That's true, but it's also true that we were not founders of what you are thinking about right now, right? So we were paid a salary for it, so we just had to do it. We knew that it was going to crash in a way, but it's not on us 100%. But now it's 100% on us. So if we are doing the same, it's really our fault, right? And no one else's. But yeah, so...
But it's true, we are getting better at it. And that's why we released the very first version of Unitext as a POC, as a CLI. Now, of course, even this API, browser extension, subscription is already a bit of a bet, right? It's one thing to release a free service. All you're asking there is for some other geeks to download it, right? Because it was a Python CLI, so you're just asking that somebody that is downloading that and trying it out, or give you a star on GitHub, which is free. It's another thing to actually get people to pay for it. Do people actually see so much value in it that they will pay for it? And this is our next test. But of course, we shouldn't waste 1 year now developing all the features we have in mind for this product before realizing
our runway is not that long, to be honest.
Yes, we wouldn't even have the chance to do that. Which I guess it's good, right? It's working within our constraints. But yeah, we will get better at it. And now distribution is something we are figuring out. And as we said, that's the reason of this podcast, right? To show as we figure out things.
So it has been more or less half an hour already. And I think we can move to the next topic and spend the next half an hour so we can stick to 1 hour. Although we said already, like, reviewing 1 hour podcast is a nightmare, because if you listen to it twice, it's already 2 hours listening. And I did that.
That gets you closer to the target of 4 hours spent on distribution.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
so I'm
not true.
I'm halfway through it.
That's not how it works.
It's really a nightmare. So, but yeah, let's try 1 hour. So the next topic is an internal discussion we have been having for the last weeks. So what next? Once we release, distribute, and so on, Unitext, what next? We want to build another product, but we need to build something that makes sense. And I found an opportunity. So we have many ideas. I think we mentioned already this in the first episode, right? Like, we have a backlog, a Trello backlog, full of ideas. Many of them are really, we think there is a market out there, but some of them are quite challenging to implement. So it might take some time. And we are trying to focus on small things that can bring cash as soon as possible. So at least we are covered there and we can spend more time building more complex stuff, right? At least that's the strategy, but let's see. So the other day we were discussing, because we tried out this product, I don't know, guys, if you know about it, called Lovable. Probably you know. It's an European startup based in Sweden, like Spotify. And their growth has been amazing, right? I think they had the biggest growth in all the European startup space. And we tried it out, and the result was not that successful as we expected, because there is a lot of hype out there, like people saying, oh, I love Lovable. But we tried out once because we wanted to build the web for unit text as soon as possible. And at the end, we ended up doing, going back to Tailwind UI, right? And use a template from these guys. But then we had an idea on how to improve Lovable, at least for the websites. We wanted to focus only on websites. We don't care about other kind of products because at the end of the day, I don't have any numbers here, but this is more like a gut feeling. Most of the products probably being built with Lovable are web-based. And this is, again, an assumption. I don't have the numbers. I don't know. But if you think about it, if you are a non-IT person, building a mobile app is a nightmare. There are too many challenges. It's not just building the product per se, which is already a pain. Do you go cross-platform? Do you go native? If you go native, you need to maintain 2 different code bases. It's really a nightmare. But when you are done and you suffer all this way to build the product, you are not finished. You need to publish to the app stores. You need to do this distribution. You need to do positioning. So there is a name for this. It's ASO, which is App Store Optimization, which is similar to SEO, which is more on Google or search engines. So it's really complex. It's not that simple. And Lovable is not solving this issue, right? It's just solving the first step. So we assume that websites is the more requested thing, especially when it comes to people that want to build something that is not a mobile app. And we had this nice idea on how to improve the results because we've been working with AI models and so on in the last months. And we think we know more or less how they behave, and they are trained with human data, right? So I guess it's fair to assume that they have the same problems as we humans. So when we have a white canvas and you need to build something on top of this white canvas, it's much more difficult to come up with something compared to having already a stable baseline. So if you have some, like some painting already, and you need to add some details to the painting, it's much easier than starting the painting from scratch, right? What do you think,
It's
Giorgio?
like we do with kids, right? When you start with just coloring,
exactly,
filling in the color. You don't start from the white canvas. And the AI is a bit. I think it goes a bit in both directions, right? You need to give the AI a good structure. Say these are the boundaries I want you to operate within. Think, for example, of structured output, like one of the fundamental tools we use with AI nowadays to integrate it with other things. You need to get structured output. You need to say, I need you to operate within these boundaries to interface the AI with something else. So it goes in that direction. But it, as you say, the AI is trained on human data because we also work a bit in that way. And even take AI out of the equation. Think about how we always build product and how we still do, in fact. If you as a developer are interacting with a product manager, for example. Of course, there are some very skilled product managers out there who already know all the questions a developer is going to ask, and they've done enough, and they just know how to structure that. But usually, again, it's a bit of a stereotype. Let's say usually, if I think about all the interactions, or maybe not with a product manager, let's say with a customer, anyone who needs to solve something with software, they don't really know what they want. Mm-hmm. It's for the developer, or maybe again for a product owner to figure out what does this customer want. What should I ask? Mm-hmm. So much of our work is actually asking the right question and say
to guide them.
You need to actually guide the customer, mm-hmm. and you can't expect a customer to just give you the solution. It's not their job. They have a problem to solve. They have a business problem to solve. The nice thing about AI models now, especially if you use them in, we could say, one of the agentic fashions, and one of the techniques that you can use, and we are big fans of, is this human in the loop kind of interaction.
It's what Unitext is using, actually.
You could say that Unitext as a primitive form of human in the loop feedback. We want to expand it further, in fact.
Mm-hmm.
For example, the way Unitext works right now is that you want to write something and you start Unitext. You go to Unitext. You have an idea, right? You want to write about you have a goal, you have an audience, but it's Unitext asking. So it gives you structure. That was one of the core tenets of Unitext. Compare it to going to ChatGPT, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what we always said. We want to move beyond that idea of just chatting, as if that's easy. If I go to ChatGPT and I don't even know how to write a successful article, I first need to figure it out. I mean, you could start prompting like that, like, how should I write a successful article? And then you're going to get some long essay on whatever kind of article out there is, going from newspaper geopolitical article to whatever scientific paper with some random examples thrown in, and then you need to dive deeper and discuss with ChatGPT so you can get a better idea what you want to do. But compare that with the other option, which is the tool asking you the question. Go straight to the point, say, okay, you want to write a technical blog. So you selected that you want to write a technical blog. What's your audience? Is it developers? Is it cloud engineers? You get prompted to do that. And with AI, you can make it even. You can make the AI dive deeper.
Mm-hmm.
So the AI could decide: did you give me enough info, or should I dive deeper? And now, if we go back to this idea of a product design phase, it's very similar to what we always did as developers. So somebody comes up with an idea, and then I start asking questions. I want to understand what problem they're trying to solve. How do they solve it today? Assuming there is a solution at all.
Mm-hmm.
So many questions. Now we don't need to. It also depends a lot. It goes a lot case by case as well. And this could be a place where the AI shines. You can dive deeper, build up the context with all the things that you need to build the products, and maybe all the things that you don't need. You can also exclude something already. I think this is the very first step, like this human in the loop interaction, with this back and forth, not being guided by just a chat, because.
So actually, Lovable is trying to solve this problem in like adding two white canvases, one to the AI to build the product from scratch, and the other one to the end user to come up with the proposal. So with no guidance at all. Here's just a prompt. Just spit out whatever you want here. Even if you know. We know as a consultants, we've been working in consulting for many years. And customers, they don't know what they want technically. They have some ideas, abstract ideas, business ideas. And you need to bring that to the detail to communicate to the dev team to implement it, right? That's what a business analyst does, right? Now I think it's a product manager. But this step here is missing right now. So you have an end customer or an end user in this case, and they need to just drop their words or their thoughts into a prompt, and then you need to expect the AI to come up with the right solution. Well, if you add human in the loop feedback, it solves all that, or at least it improves the whole thing, right? And our assumption is that the result can be much, much better. And we have all the ideas, but we will not discuss them here because otherwise we are telling Lovable how to solve their problem. And we don't want to do that, right? So the discussion we were having, Giorgio and I were having, is more about the distribution, right? So is it worth investing our time and effort for the next weeks to build something better than Lovable? And Giorgio was saying some good points about it, which is this space is already too crowded. And it's true, it's too crowded. So positioning ourselves and distributing is going to be like almost impossible or much harder. And I think the opposite, right? Like I think with all the hype around it, it's going to be easier. So if we go to social media and start posting like, hey, we have this new cool product, we think it gets better results than Lovable and so on, I strongly think that people will try it out. And if it gets really good results, the hype will grow on top of it. But we are not experts here, so we don't know. And actually, we wanted to ask you guys, what are your thoughts about it? Probably we will create a survey on Spotify, right, Giorgio? To ask.
Yeah, I think that
maybe on social media as well.
So we need to play a bit with that, right, as we said.
And it's actually a good thing to distribute, right? Like to ask the community. And it will help us to decide, right? Because we are two people. And so 50-50. We need a third or a second opinion, right?
Absolutely. No, but it's true. I've been changing my mind recently, I have to say, like let's say in the past few months. I used to have this idea that whenever something was already solved, let's say, something was already done, then there was no space for us to do anything else, anything new. I don't know why. Maybe it's a bit of a imposter syndrome thing. Like, oh, but if those guys did it already, why could I do any better? Maybe it's a bit about, I don't know, demonstrating something to someone. You get this feedback a lot, right? When you say you're working on something, you have whatever product idea. First thing some people say is just, oh no, but I already know of somebody who did that. It's like, okay.
That's really typical. It's like, yeah, I have all these tools. I know all these tools that can do that already. Like, who are you and why are you adding any added value on top of them, right?
Yes, and it's interesting.
Find a job.
It's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. Actually, that's a good counter argument. It's like, even if you're looking for a job as a software developer, you say, oh, but why you? I already know how that 500 people were also software developers. Yeah, but I mean, there is space for everyone in this world. Maybe, of course, you bring yourself, and it's not like you're interchangeable with anyone else. It's not like a company will say, no, but we already have our software developer. You just need one. It's not how it works. And it's the same with products. Of course, you could say, yes, of course, the difference is software is, let's say, infinitely scalable, although I also don't believe so much in that. But it's just, you can have a different approach at doing something. You can come up with a new idea how to do something. You can improve on so many levels. You may even just be able to make something cheaper. That's also valuable. That's how we go forward. And this argument, I stopped caring about that. And in fact, I started seeing that in the opposite way, as you say. So if everybody is talking about something, then it means there is some value. Mm-hmm. It means somebody actually cares. It's solving some real issue.
And that's what I was telling you this morning, right? Like, you sent me this thread coming from, I think it was Product Hunt, like people complaining that we don't need more Lovables. What we need is a tool to automate distribution. And some people share their tool. But at the end, those tools, I took a look at them, and they are like basically AI spammers. So they auto-generate content, publish them on the different social media. And at the end, that's what we are trying to fight against here, right? Like with Unitext and our tools.
I would argue we don't need any more spammers. That's exactly. For sure. So
what we need,
if that's the business you want to get, please don't.
Exactly. So they were saying that, but at the same time, I was telling you, but look at the numbers. Lovable is generating millions in monthly recurring revenue. That's crazy. And they have done it in I don't know, I think in months, not even a year, right? So if that's happening, if they have these numbers, it's because people want to, there's still market for it, right? So if we can really make it better, why not, right? And there is another point that I also told you. We really need cash as soon as possible. So if we can ride the hype, build something that people love, and make cash out of it, even if it's not going to be long term, because yeah, you're right, probably another smart guy will come after us and build something even better, and then our product will be dead. But if during this time, till that happened, we manage to gather some cash that we can invest on other products, it's kind of, you need, right now we are living like day by day, right? It's like we cannot do plans for months because we don't know, we don't have the money for it. So if we can get this lifesaver, how do you call this floating things? I don't know right now the name in English.
A raft.
Yeah, this orange thing that the
yes,
you know what I mean, right? So if we can get that, if we can get that and survive for 1 year, that's already enough, right? Even if the tool is going to die, who cares? Nowadays, you cannot build, I mean, you could build like lasting things, obviously, but there are so many advancements and developments, especially in AI, that it's really difficult, or at least I see it this way, to build lasting things, because the day after, someone else will come up with something. And another thing is, I really see that the market is going this direction, like moving away from corporate, and maybe just a personal assumption or vision. I think they are moving more towards doing your own thing, right? Because at some point, if you think about it, at some point, if AI is really going to evolve to the point that they are going to do our jobs much better than us, what's our added value here, right? But this is just an assumption. I'm not saying this is going to happen. I'm not a visionary. I'm quite the opposite of a visionary, but I really see this like a future thing. Like AI is going to do all our jobs, or corporate stuff, or what corporate expects, and then you will have, we as developers, we will have to do our own thing, right? Because yeah, now whoever can build whatever, although I'm not completely sure about this 100% right now. I mean, you can try to do vibe coding and so on, but good luck afterwards sending that to production and maintaining it. If you have a bug, good luck to find it.
Yeah, it's a bit of I mean, let's see what's gonna happen. It's really hard to say right now.
It is, yeah.
But it's true that I would also like to see this shift away, be from huge corporations controlling 90% of the internet, 90% of the software out there, of the media, anything that's happening. Like to see more independent people just building nice things, solving problems. I think there is huge potential there that we also. Sometimes I always get very annoyed when I have to interact with bad software for whatever reason, you know. Sometimes it's just as simple as buying train tickets. I can't complain much here in Switzerland, to be honest. It's pretty good.
No,
we have it pretty good here, but it's the exception. It's not the norm. So you're usually surrounded by so much bad software wherever you go, anything you're trying to do. So we got used to Google quality, to all the big tech software, and maybe now with AI we get the chance that we get more developers, more people that can actually bring that out and make it available to everyone in the world. That would be a very nice thing. There could be so many more things that could be done with software.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe before it was not valuable enough as well. It was not valuable enough to get then huge teams to solve certain problems. You could not get the best talent. Now AI makes it cheaper and makes it faster, and you can get more people to look at what may have been considered simple problems that they were not worth so much that they would get crazy investments. And you can get very good software to solve that. That would be very nice. I think that's one of the things that AI could enable nowadays.
I agree. So I guess the next step for this topic is to release the podcast, try to gather feedback, right? Like with surveys, online surveys on, I don't know, Spotify, also on the different social networks, and hope that someone will answer and give us some tips, especially if you have some experience in this kind of discussions with your colleagues or partners. We would really appreciate that because, yeah, as we said, we are trying to figure things out.
But first, we launch Unitext.
Exactly. That's the priority.
And we distribute it.
Yeah. 4 hours per day.
Exactly. So for the next few weeks, 4 hours, we distribute Unitext, no features. And 4 hours, we work on whatever's next.
Great. So it's been already 52 minutes, almost 53. I think we can wrap it up, right? So
yeah,
I don't have to spend 2 hours of my life again reviewing twice our podcast. And yeah, so I think that's it. I hope that was helpful. I hope that our accents, our vocabulary, and pronunciation was better than in the last podcast. And we hope to see you or hear you there next week. Have a nice week.
All right. See you next week.